Hey everybody, I'm Hunter Allen with Peaks Coaching Group, and I've been talking about training with power for a long time. When Dr. Coggan and I first wrote our book, Training Race on the Power Meter, back in 2006, was first published. Before that, we developed Cycling Peaks software, and that was released in 2003. So this has been around a long time. However, many people still don't really know what the 7 steps of power training are. These are detailed in our book. But here's a really quick video to kind of talk about what these mean and why we have them. First off, we need to have a process. Why do we have this process? It's an objective approach to a very human process, right? It allows us to be objective so that we see data and we understand what's going on, and we can make decisions not based on opinions or feelings, but really here's the hard facts. It also gives us a chance to use a decision tree so that we can maximize our knowledge for our athletes that we coach, and then also use the best training principles. It's repeatable, it's accurate, it's time tested, and it also not only time tested, but it helps with your time management. And lastly, it really helps with communication. For us as coaches, communicating with you as an athlete, making sure that we're very clear in that communication. Here's the steps, here's what we're going to do, and here's where we're going to go. So really, here's our steps are 7 different steps here. We have 2 different phases of those things: the performance phase and the planning and execution phase. The first ones here are step 1, testing, right? So we got to do some testing first. As you know, you've probably heard of the FTP test. I've got another video on that and some articles on that. So make sure you look at that and know that the 20-minute test is a shortcut. It is not the FTP test. Okay, I've been saying that for 20 years now, but a lot of times people forget that. So you've got to do the protocol correctly if you want to use that shortcut. So we do some testing. Once we determine our FTP, then we decide, okay, we have our training zones. What are our training zones? These are based initially on the Coggan Classic Power levels, and those are really good to start out with. As you gather more data, and if you're using the TrainingPeaks WKO 5 software, then you can move towards the I levels, the individualized levels. You may or may not need them. That's a completely different subject, so I'm not going to go into depth on that one. But once you have your training zones defined, then we can move to step 3. What are my strengths and limiters? And what are those things? Are you a good sprinter? Are you a good time trialist? Do you have great hill climbing technique? Or is your FTP really high and your power to weight ratio really high? What are those things? We have to define those, because knowing your strengths and limiters are going to allow us to match that with the event demands. Then we take that data, all that testing data, and we build what's called the power profile that allows us to understand your phenotype. Again, sprinter, time trialist, all-arounder, or what we call a pursuiter. A pursuiter is very good at 1 and 5 minutes. That way we have a good understanding of what you are and what your first steps are. Then we move into the planning execution phase, building a periodized plan. So now we go and work backwards. What are your goals? How do we get to those goals? Making sure we have the right taper involved for the leading up to your event. Making sure that we have the right build cycle in there so that's rational and progressive. So you're constantly building up but not going too crazy. Periodization allows you to have a higher peak, and at the same time, it allows you to be very careful with that peak and understand how your body responds and adapts to the training stimulus. 6, you've got to do the workouts, right? Now, this is where you actually go and do the workouts. They have to be very specific workouts. They have to be really key workouts. So this is really critical to all of the training, right? Is you actually do the work, right? Having a power meter, just putting it on your bike, isn't going to make you any faster. You have to go out and do the work. All right, step 7 is all the stuff that I love too, right, is that analysis part. Right now we're going to analyze your power data, learn what's happening. Did you do the workouts correctly? Did you create the wattage correctly? A thing we call quadrant analysis. See my video on quadrant analysis. That's a great video as well. So we have to track and understand that. What's the performance manager mean? Things like this. Then that allows us to get to the last phase, achieve your goal, right? Whether that's winning an event, or that's finishing a Grand Fondo in the top 50% and feeling strong, whether that's coming to a cycling camp and being good and feeling good throughout cycling camp, whatever that is, that's how we get there. These 7 steps of power training. So keep those in mind. This first phase here, right? This is simultaneous, right? You can do this in a single day, right? This is a single day thing. This is ongoing. This happens over time, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, and longer, right? We're constantly working on that part of it. All right, that's it from me. I'm Hunter Allen from Peaks Coaching Group. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on Instagram as well. And I've got a great power newsletter where I put a lot of tips and articles on that so check that out. Sign up for that power newsletter, and I even have a blog where I put our articles on as well. So lots of different ways to learn more about training with a power meter. Tons of videos on YouTube, and of course, all of our coaches. We're here. We have over 35 coaches that are experts in training with a power meter, and would love to help you finish your next event feeling strong and finishing in that top half of the event. All right, talk to you soon.